going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back from the OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving back into some Pirate Rumble using a PSY Free Spirit centric based team and showcasing the new KINEMON DENJIRO alongside the new V2 Odin. So what I've done today is I have put together a sort of PSY Free Spirit centric team. If you guys didn't check out the community tab, I will leave a link in the description. I just did like one more multi on that Pirate Rumble banner, that Dalton banner, and we got some crazy luck. We pulled 5 new units in one multi. For a Pirate Rumble banner, like, that is just absolutely insane. One of them being the new legend, well, not new legend, but Legend Kuma, which is actually pretty cool. So hopefully we can, like, get a chance to showcase Kuma on the channel, maybe with some, like, meme content and stuff like that. But the main upside to that multi is we did pull Strusen. Pulling Strusen was absolutely huge because he's a Free Spirit PSY character, and that means I had access to putting Rebecca Toy Soldier on the bench. So, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on the team in the comment section below. I do have about 5 matches for you guys today. Let me know what you guys are running if you are running some sort of Free Spirit team, because I am sort of looking at trying to build some sort of Free Spirit team with like Odin and KINEMON DENJIRO, Sabo Ace, maybe something like with Ryoiin and whatnot, but I kind of stuck between like the color and class meta, and I'm still sort of like merging the two together to try and find the most optimal teams. But let me know what you guys are running. I'm really curious to know more about Rumble, as I am sort of starting to get back into the Rumble scene. I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more like I used to, but I still do think it needs a lot of work. But as always, don't forget to belt a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, if you haven't done so already, just like 55% of you guys, 55% of you guys haven't done so, hit that big red subscribe button. It's good OPTC content. Most importantly, guys, enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alright, so let's dive in. We're taking on a quick team utilizing the PSY / a Free Spirit team. So this team actually works really nicely, and I was quite happy that I actually picked up Strusen. But with this particular team, if you're coming up against a quick variation, what you actually have the option of doing is actually taking Roger out of the team, as well as the bench Law, and using Wano Law. Now, Wano Law is really good because he's a Free Spirit slasher, but he also nerfs driven powerhouse characters. Now, for Int and Quick especially, they are just, like, they have a plethora of driven powerhouse characters, especially Quick. Like, Quick have so many, like, driven powerhouse characters with, like, Kaido, Akainu, Queen, Magellan. Like, they basically, besides, like, Boa and Luffy, like, that's the only, like, characters they don't have that's, like, not powerhouse and driven. They've got, like, Cracker as another powerhouse unit. So if you're coming up against Quick and you're a little bit worried with this PSY team, just easily put Law on the team and you will be good to go. But as you can see, like, we have enough special cooldown. We get, like, recovery. We have a lot of attack. Like, Yamato's sitting at 39 attack here. Like, absolutely wild. And especially because Odin is as well. When Odin pops his special off, he just does so much damage. When KINEMON DENJIRO go off as well, they do alright. They do a bit of damage, but the main thing that they do that's quite nice is healing. Sort of just gives us enough, like, HP to sort of survive shots and let, like, Yamato... 59 attack. Like, what the hell, Yamato? Just chill out, bro. Or, bro, set. But, like, this team just has so much attack. Like, ridiculous amounts of attack thanks to Odin, thanks to KINEMON DENJIRO, and thanks to, like, what's that? Oh, we would have gone up to 45. Like, the amount of attack this team has is just bonkers. And once you pop those specials off, you can just do so much damage. Let's move on to another fight. Alright, so onto a Dex team now. This team was, like, kind of interesting, so I thought we'll take it on. It's got the new Kato combination, as well as Dalton on the team, who can be a very scary unit, as well as having something like Law and Queen, just to sort of get a little bit more damage output. They've got a lot of good nukers on the bench as well. Stuff like Sobama, stuff like, what's his name? Moria, as well as, well, Moria's not a great nuker, Sobamas obviously a good nuker, but I'm not 100% sure what would be more effective for this particular team. If they had sort of like Moria in the front and maybe something like Zoro on the bench instead of Law on the team, it would function a little bit nicer. I do have something in the works with the Dex team, so keep an eye out for that. I've actually been playing around with it a little bit since V2 Dofi got his 6+. He's very strong. So the Dex team's sort of going to see a little bit of resurgence, but I thought I would just sort of take it on in this particular fight, just to sort of get a feel for it, as well as show the side team against a different variation. It's just not like the same team over and over again. But looking at our side team now, we're upwards of around 47 attack. Like, this team just does so much attack. It's ridiculous. On top of that as well, we are sitting at a nice chunky 12 defense. We've got 12 HP up as well, so we can actually tank quite a lot of shots. And we've got healing with KINEMON DENJIRO as well. We've got a lot of nerfing potential with Strusen as well as Roger as well. Roger's dropping their attack, dropping their defense, dropping their speed. Strusen's doing the same thing. He's increasing our attack as well as dropping the enemy's defense, which just means that we can do a lot of damage when it comes to stuff like our Odin special and our Yamato special. Once Yamato hits with this much attack, you can bet your ass she's basically killing 2 units. Like, and that's just facts. That's free. But unfortunately, she's on a little bit of a higher cooldown. But because KINEMON and Denjiro does quite a bunch of attack as well, and they do quite a bit of damage, it can help out. The downside to KINEMON and Denjiro is they are a dual unit, so they're not actually classified as a Psy character, even though they do have Psy in their kit. And that sort of sucks because we get defense up with Strusen too, though, by the way. Like, it's just that was a huge dub pulling Strusen. That multi was busted too. But yeah, the downside to KINEMON Denjiro is the fact that they're not actually Psy characters. They obviously are a Psy and a quick unit, but they sort of lose out on the buffs from stuff like Yamato. They lose out on the buffs from like Strusen, and they lose out on the buffs from Odin. Well, not all of the buffs from Odin, but like the Psy buffs anyway. The upside to using Roger on the team with KINEMON Odin over something like Wano Law is that Roger's going to, as a Rainbow booster, he's going to be buffing KINEMON Denjiro and just allowing KINEMON Denjiro to just sort of perform a little bit nicer within this certain situation. Nevertheless, like their attack buff, their healing is very, very nice, and their passive is pretty good for free spirit characters as well, which this whole team actually is. So KINEMON Denjiro are still buffing this entire team, and with that said, we can take down the Dex team, no issues whatsoever. On to the next fight now. Alright, so just like the quick team that we just looked at, I found another sort of driven-centric, powerhousey sort of team. And as I mentioned, you can use something like Wano Law on this particular team that we are rocking, just to get a lot of more nerfing capabilities to take down driven powerhouse. But, nevertheless, I don't think we actually need it. Like, with Roger buffing KINEMON and Denjiro, it definitely helps out quite a bit. And it means that we can just sort of allow them to sort of get a little bit more tankiness. Now, the way I've set the team up is I have put KINEMON and Denjiro in the far right-hand side, because as I was just saying in the Dex fight, KINEMON and Denjiro don't really get too much buffs from this particular team, besides the Free Spirit or the Rainbow buffs. So the buffs from Odin, like half the buffs from Odin, and Roger will increase KINEMON Denjiro's potential for the actual team. But unfortunately, Yamato and Strusen, they don't actually buff KINEMON Denjiro. KINEMON Denjiro obviously buff themselves and buff the entire team, which is nice. And that's a big reason why they're here. But Strusen sort of holds that glue together, because Strusen can give a lot of defense up. And if you put KINEMON Denjiro on the far right or the far left, you are going to be in for a better time, as they are just not going to get targeted by too many attacks, and they're going to sit in the back and sort of be a nice support unit, while also outputting just that little bit of damage. The amount of attack and speed they can give is very, very nice, plus that recovery buff they give can be nice, I guess, but it's more there for the actually healing. So once Yamato pops off with that, 36 attack, she just smashed the stuff. She didn't actually kill Moria, funny enough. I've been talking about like Yamato just like killing 2 units, but she didn't actually kill Moria in this instance. She did a lot of damage to Moria, but she didn't actually kill Moria, which is a little bit funny. But once we do get Odin coming in with his special, hopefully he can come in very, very soon. He does have his stats halved, which is a little bit annoying. Moria is a bit of a pest when it comes to doing stuff like that, but sitting at 44 attack is nothing to scoff at, provided he survives this Kaido shot. Yeah, we're good. It's the best thing about this, though. Like, we have, like, enough defense and enough HP to sort of tank those shots. And then once Odin comes in, as you see, he just board wipes. Like, it's crazy. I don't think he's, like, as good of a nuker as a V1 Odin is, but it's pretty nice to see what he can do. On to the next fight now. Alrighty, so we did manage to find an Int team. Now, Int, obviously, is the natural enemy of Psy, but Psy is actually the natural enemy of Int. Now, this particular Int team is incredibly stacked. Like, their bench is even, like, fire. Like, they rank 9 as well. Obviously, with a defensive team like this, it's going to take a lot to get past them. You've got Moria, you've got Perona, very good defensive units. You've got Reiju, another really good defensive unit. There's a lot of healing with stuff like Komurasaki. And then with a bench like Smoker, and Whitebeard, like, you can do a lot of good damage in the back end of the fight, as well as nerf Psy quite, like, drastically. Mainly with So I did want to take it on because I did just want to see like how this team goes in terms of damage output, because with PvP obviously you only have 100 seconds, and the Int team has always been the GOAT when it comes to stalling out that 100 seconds. And this particular fight goes down to literally the last millisecond, and I really wanted to include it for that sense. If you see a team like this, like, you shouldn't really fight it. Like, unless you are going for like top 10 of PvP, or going for those really high ranks, and you have to fight a team like this, that's pretty much the only time where you should fight a team like this. But RNG is still such a big factor when it comes to PvP. It is quite annoying, but the beautiful thing about PvP is you can sort of just keep like hitting that refresh button and keep searching for new opponents to see if you can find something that one of your teams can take down. Now, as I've always rambled on in PvP videos, Psy obviously good against Int, Int good against Psy, and then the cycle of strength beats Dex, Dex beats Quick, Quick beats Strength. That cycle is sort of what you want to play into, especially if you are ranking quite highly. Strength at the moment, I do think has like the strength free spirit like hybrid comp with like Kid on the bench has like grossly become a very, very powerful team. It can take out most teams, but especially Psy and Dex. But it does still obviously struggle when you do throw it up against something like Int that has a lot of very, very good counters towards strength characters. So, nevertheless, like, you do need to be mindful when you do sort of put those PvP teams together. But as you guys will see with this particular fight as I'm rambling on, we are now down to the last 30 seconds, and, like, no one's been touched. Like, on both sides as well, like, no one has been touched. But now that we have a lot of attack, Yamato's coming in, we can start one-shotting units. And this is where we sort of, like, need our back-ended, like, heavy hitters to start doing some really, really good damage. The upside to using Strusen or something like Smoothie or something like Scopper on the front lines of this side team as well, there are other really, really good potential Pirate Rumble exclusive rare recruits that you can put on this side team. They don't give everyone a full buff for that matter. And you can sort of tweak it a little bit, use stuff like Kizaru instead of KINEMON DENJIRO, but the whole idea of this video is for KINEMON DENJIRO, so I had to include them. But you can use stuff like Scopper, you can use stuff like Smoothie. Those particular characters are great, because then you can also use Rebecca Toy Soldier. Rebecca Toy Soldier I do have on the bench here. She has a really, really, really good passive, but with Strusen and what he does in terms of being a free spirit character in the front lines as well, I did want to include him in the front for the attack up, the speed up, the defense up, and then have sort of like Rebecca Toy Soldier as my frontline nuker for the side team, meaning that she'll actually get all of the buffs under the sun when she comes in as well. But as you guys will see, we had 6 seconds left, so I lied when I said the last millisecond, but we had 6 seconds left, which is pretty damn close. So that was the Int team, not exactly the team you want to be fighting when it comes to your attacking, but it was pretty cool to see nonetheless. On to some mirror matches now. Alright, so onto a bit of a side mirror match now. We do have a KINEMON DENJIRO Odin sort of build. They're using stuff like Wano Lord, Rebecca Toy Soldier, Yamato, and then with Wodger on the bench. Now, Wodger on the bench is definitely not a bad option. It's definitely quite a scary option, to be honest, because very much like Final Tap Kid, if Kid comes in with that special in the back end of the fight, you bet your ass Kid is going to be doing a butt ton of damage. Well, Wodger kind of has that same ability to do so. You kind of just come in, be a little bit self-sufficient, get the buffs from, like, any slasher characters or striker units that are buffing them, and then sort of just say, like, wham, bam, thank you, man, smash your team for, like, 6 and sort of, like, take out sort of, like, whatever sort of, like, dregs are sort of hanging around, or characters that are sort of just hanging on by a thread. But nevertheless, this particular team did look very similar to ours, and I did really want to sort of take on another Psy team, just to showcase the power of what the team that I kind of had put together and show that there are some other options for the team. Obviously, like I was just talking about in the previous team, you can use stuff like Rebecca Toy Soldier in the front lines, you can use stuff like Smoothie, but the big upside to me using Rebecca Toy Soldier on the bench is if one of my characters dies, then I can have Rebecca Toy Soldier come in. They have a very good attacking special, and as you saw there, with KINEMON and DENJIRO being taken out, they could come in, get a lot of it, like, get a good passive for the rest of my team, and then sort of just, like, allow some damage output as well. That's a big upside to having them as a bench unit. They can come in with a special, pop a special off and do some damage. And I always like to have my bench team, my bench being some sort of damage outputting units. But as you guys will see there, thanks to Rebecca Toy Soldier coming in and actually doing damage, it gave us enough sort of damage to take out some of these units here and just sort of say goodbye to the rest of the team. Lucky for us, Wodger didn't like come in with a special. We didn't have to worry about that at all, and it all worked very hunky-dory. So let's move on to the final fight now. Alright, the final fight of the video looks a little bit like this. Yes, it is quite scary. It is quite scary indeed. We are taking on a free spirit strength comp, but they do have Odin in that front line as well. Now, if I was running this defensive team, I would be using V1 Odin. Like, V1 Odin would just be getting more buffs than what V2 Odin would be, but Straw Hats and Rayleigh is another really, really good option that you guys can put together when it comes to building a free spirit-centric team. I don't know if I would be using Odin too much on a free spirit-centric team, but it is definitely an option for you guys. You have stuff like Verse Ace, it's a free spirit. You have stuff like the Straw Hat crew. You have stuff like Ace and Sabo, very good for free spirits. As you can see there, Rayleigh's another really, really good option. And then you've also got some really, really good Pirate Rumble rare recruits like Strusen, like Rebecca Toy Soldier, like the Strength Law character. You have Sobermask. But when it comes to building a free spirit team, I sort of haven't figured out the best sort of way of doing so. Without sort of like leaning back on a particular color. Obviously, Pirate Rumble is still very color-centric, and sort of merging classes with colors is sort of still being the best way to sort of go about it. Because V1 Odin still exists and Strength sort of rules the roost when it comes to the free spirit like team, I do think that stuff like the Strength Odin is still a better fit. You have stuff like Toki, who's a Strength free spirit character. And all of that sort of just blends very nicely together. That Lord that you see on my bench, he's also a free spirit character as well. So if you sort of blend those sort of free spirit and slasher characters together, you can do some really cool things. But I thought, hey, let's take on this particular team, as Straw Hat Crew is always scary to come up against Rumble. They are still one of the best units in Rumble because they are so self-sufficient. That revive mechanic that you just saw there is so damn powerful that, like, we can hit them for 10k, they come back, they still have their special, and like, they're still in really good stead. We do get smashed by that A special, and we do lose our Odin, but that's okay because our bench is quite strong. Look at that passive. When Rebecca Toy Soldier comes in, it's just nothing to worry about when you lose a unit because you have such a strong, another very, very strong Psy character coming in to help you out. Whether it's Smoothie, whether it's like having Scopper instead of Strusen, having Rebecca Toy Soldier on the bench I do find very, very nice, but having them in the front lines if you need to is also a very good shout as well. But that's going to wrap up the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too, but guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!